It's very nice to be here. My name is John Vick. I'm the headmaster of West Buckland School, which is a school in the southwest of England, in a very beautiful part of England, a place where everybody likes to go for their holidays. And it's a pleasure to welcome students, not only from the United Kingdom, but from many countries around the world. And I meet many parents and their children who come to a school in Great Britain for the first time. And for many of them, they're not quite sure, I think, what they can expect to find in a British boarding school. In my school, many people come to the school dining hall and they immediately think Hogwarts. It just looks like Harry Potter. But I hope that that's where the similarity ends, and there are many other differences between my school and Harry Potter. And I think it's very important to actually visit a school, because by visiting you'll find out all sorts of things which you can't possibly get from the literature, from a website, from all the advice that you can get from excellent agencies like the one we're working with here today. And you'll get the opportunity to experience at first hand what it's like, the feel, the atmosphere that all schools will have. They're all different. And you'll find that some, like mine, are in very rural locations, right in the middle of the countryside, in a beautiful area. Others are in big cities, and they're all different. And I think to visit gives you that opportunity to experience it and feel what's going to be right for your son or daughter. And it gives you a really good chance for you to visit and to look around and see as much as you want to. Most visitors will spend 2 or 3 hours visiting the school, and that's what this school would expect you to do. You can see obviously some lovely buildings, but you can see lessons, so you can see the way teachers and pupils work together. You can speak to the staff and the pupils about their work and their experience in the school. Seeing the way children and their teachers work together tells you a great deal about the school and whether it's going to be right for your child. You can even meet the head teacher. We can tell you a lot of things, but we can't tell you sometimes as much as the children will. And I think by the way in which you speak to all the staff and all the children, I think you will find out, are the people at the school really interested in your child, and are they really interested in you as a family? In order to get the most out of your visit, there are certain things that you can do in advance to prepare, to help the school, to give you the information and to give you the experience that you most need. So for example, if your son or daughter is really interested in music or sport or science or geography, then we can make sure that you have the opportunity to see those sorts of activities. And it can be very helpful to have copies of your school reports from your son or daughter's school in Ukraine, and if possible, because I'm afraid, like me, most of my other head teachers will not speak Russian, I'm afraid. If they can be if they can be translated into English, and if they can be interpreted so that we understand what it is that your son and daughter has done and what sort of level of performance they have currently got. And we very much hope that the children will actually get very involved in the process, that they will ask questions and they will be involved in the conversation, and that they will find out what they want to know. After all, it is the children who are going to be at the school, not the parents. And the schools want to attract to their school interesting and engaged and lively young people. And if we can actually get a sense of that from the visits, that's really good. So who can you expect to meet? Yes, the head teacher, the head of boarding, the person who is in charge of all of the boarders and making sure that their lives are good. He's a very important person to meet. And the house parents, the members of staff who will be the people really caring for your son and daughter, I think you will really want to meet them, because they're people that you will speak to on the telephone or you will have email contact with. They're the people that are really going to take your place as parents. And you'll be able to see teachers, but most of all, make sure that you see the children, the students who are there. They are the ones who are going to really give you the best insight into what it is like to be at that school. And another group of people, sometimes overlooked, are the admissions team, the people who are responsible for all the administration of your application. In the months leading up to joining the school, you will be in contact with a registrar, with receptionists, people in the office. They can be really important people for you. In Great Britain, the curriculum in different schools is quite, can be different. The main differences are that most schools will teach a program called GCSEs and A-levels, which is what my school does. And then there's a small number of schools who teach what is called the IB, the International Baccalaureate. And they're very different programs, so you really must make sure that you understand what the differences are and what's going to be right for your child. And for almost all international students, they're going to have a special program within their curriculum of English language teaching. And that is organized differently in every school. And I think it's a very good idea for you to make sure that you find out how it is organized. Sometimes there are some extra charges for English as a second language. And sometimes it's at the end of the school days, sometimes it's in the middle of the program. It's a good idea for you to find out how it works. I think of all the questions that I'm asked by students in every country, in the UK, in Ukraine, in Germany, in China, they all want to know, how do you stop my son, especially, sometimes daughter, from being on a computer all day and all night? Well, it's a very important issue. We don't want to stop our young people from using computers. It's a vital part of their education, it's a vital part of their social life, and it's very important for international students in terms of keeping in touch with their family and, of course, with their friends. And so it's a good idea to ask about what policies are on computer use and what access the young people have to internet, to email, to Skype, to all of the modern technology. It's an important issue. But there are important, what in England we call safeguarding issues, because obviously access to the computer gives you access to all sorts of people and information, not all of which is suitable for young people. So be sure that your school is able to keep your children safe. All boarding accommodation is different. All boarding houses are different sizes, different groups of children, different size rooms. Make sure you have a look. You're entitled to see where your son or daughter will be living. Do they have a room of their own, or will they like to share? I think a lot of parents think, oh, it'd be nice to have a room of your own. Actually, for most teenagers, sharing is a much better experience. Well, of course, we're in a school to do some work, to learn, and of course, you're going to want to know that your son or daughter is learning properly. And most schools will have somebody who could be described, he might have a title, academic tutor, who might not teach your child, but would be there to make sure that they are making good progress and that if there are any problems, that they are being dealt with. And if you want to find out how your son or daughter is doing, how do you find out? Most schools will give full written reports twice a year. But if you want to find out, who do you get in touch with? Who's the point of contact? Obviously, parents want to make sure your children are not only learning, but they're enjoying lots of other activities. Schools of the sort that you're finding out about today are very good with their academic program, and their children achieve well in their examinations, but they are also very committed to sport, to music, to the performing arts, to all sorts of clubs and societies and social things. That's really what makes our schools so special and very different from schools in most other countries. And of course, children will sometimes have accidents, or they will feel ill. Find out about the medical support. Is there a school nurse? Is there a doctor? And what happens at weekends? It's some schools, not many, but some schools will have lessons on a Saturday morning. My school doesn't, I'm pleased to say, but there will be lots of other activities, lots of sports, lots of trips, lots of time to enjoy life, but also to relax. And of course, one of the biggest anxieties, worries for parents is how will they get from the airport to the school. In my school, it's is about a 3-hour drive, but we can arrange for transport from the airport to the school. Find out what other schools do. They will all do it differently. So these are just some of the questions that I would suggest you ask. What are the school policies on computers, social media, bullying, alcohol, smoking? We do have policies on all of those things. I must say that I have very few problems with British students smoking, but I do have some problems with German and Russian, and I've got to say Ukrainian students who smoke. In British schools, it's not acceptable. Is it different in Ukraine? I've been asked many times, how many different nationalities are there in the school? How many Ukrainian, how many Russian-speaking students will there be? Some parents think that their child will be best if they're the only Ukrainian or only Russian-speaking pupil in the school. I can understand that, but actually, just if you have a little sympathy for your son or daughter, it's quite nice to have one or two others they can speak to. Lots of other questions about supervision and what they do at evenings and weekends. But perhaps the bottom question there, everybody feels a little bit homesick or a little bit unhappy sometimes. Who can a pupil go to talk to confidentially if they have a problem? Very important. And a good school will understand that that can be an important thing for a child. So you've visited the school, you've asked hundreds of questions, you've spoken to lots of people. So and at the end of that, I hope that you would have some idea about whether this school is going to be right for you and your child. Because it is you and your child, it's about the family relationship with the school. We want the parents, the family, to understand the school so that we're all working together. And very often you will have something that you'd like to know about after the visit, and so don't be afraid to contact the school again. Once you've decided that you would like a particular school, West Buckland of course, then every school will have a different enrolment process. Some schools will expect your son or daughter to take an exam. Actually, at West Buckland, we don't really, because I hope that we will have met your son or daughter, we will have spoken to him, we will have learnt about his ability in English, we might have found out about his interests, we'll have actually got to know quite a lot from the school reports. If a student wants to take, for example, mathematics at A level or chemistry, we might introduce the student to the teacher there so they can assess how good they are, whether they're going to be suited to the course. And sometimes if a student, for example, wants to study a subject and we need to have a conversation, we might do that through Skype. So my school, my policy is that we're not necessarily going to ask them to do an exam, but some schools will. And then there are lots of practical things that you might want to find out about with visas and travel arrangements and school uniform and term dates, lots and lots of practical things like that. Business Link, I'm sure, are very good at helping with those, but the administrative team in the school, the school secretary, the registrar, they will be very helpful to you. So that gives you some ideas about the sort of things that you can expect to do. The visit is very much for you to use to your best advantage. And I think if parents can visit the school with their children, that is a great opportunity. It's very nice for me as a head of the school to actually meet the parents, because sometimes that's quite difficult. So I'm very pleased that you are all here showing interest in British education. British education is very distinctive. It's different, I think, from virtually every other education system that I have knowledge of. So I think our particular ethos and philosophy, the range of opportunities, academic and non-academic activities, makes us a very, very exciting experience for your children. And most of my students almost all of my students will go to university, and most of them will go to very well-known universities. But I don't think you should be too fixated, obsessed by the schools that have got the very highest league table placings. Going to Oxford or Cambridge or Imperial College or top universities, yes, that's very important, but is that actually going to be the right thing for your son or daughter? you want to make sure that the school is the right one for your son or daughter. They all are different, so go and visit and you will understand that. So I'd be very pleased to answer any questions that you may have.